We were asked to make a video on 5 unsolved cases that were later solved. Well, we thought, why not make a video where the unsolved cases were actually solved by the help of CCTV. Number 1. Susanne Pili was a 38-year-old bookkeeper from Edinburgh. She went missing on 4th of May 2010. Susanne failed to show up for work, which was completely out of character for her. The police then connected surveillance footages to reveal the dark truth of what really happened to Susanne Pili. Her neighbours said that she left at 7 AM that morning to do her usual shopping. The police then found CCTV of Susanne catching the bus to the city centre. She was then seen walking into Sainsbury's, where she purchased her breakfast. CCTV then shows Susanne heading to work, where she was seen walking across the street, turning into Thistle Street. That was the last time Susanne would be seen. The cameras showed her only 60 metres away from her work, so the police knew something must have happened to her in that short time. They knew that she didn't go past her work, because they would have seen her on CCTV. Surveillance showed that Susanne must have made it to work that morning, so why didn't she turn up to her desk? Police discovered by emails that Susanne was having an affair with David Gilroy, a married man of 2 children. When police talked to colleagues, David was out of town on a business trip. When he eventually talked to the police the next day, they noticed he had unusual marks on his hand, which he said were caused by gardening. The police photographed his hands when they discovered that for some reason, David used makeup to try and hide the markings. Why would a man use makeup just to hide markings that were caused by gardening? It just didn't add up. The police checked his garden and found that no gardening had been done. David was now suspect of the disappearance of Susanne Pili. In the few weeks before Susanne's disappearance, the police discovered that David contacted her over 400 times, either by text, email or by phone call, but on the day she went missing, he didn't contact her one single time. Now if a person you contact a lot goes missing, you would think that would be the time you would contact them the most. Nothing seemed to add up. CCTV showed David turning up to his work early that morning, not long before Susanne. He logged onto his computer but was away from his desk for 1 hour. Where was he? Later that day he went home and then returned to his work with his car to the office's basement. The problem for the police officers was that there was no body of Susanne. The final evidence though to complete the investigation was when the police sent in their dogs that specialises in finding traces of a body. The dog found 3 traces that a body was in the basement. First trace was behind the stairwell, and then that trace led to a fire door. Then that trace led to a garage itself, the exact place where David was seen returning to work with his car. The final trace? Yes, you guessed it. The final place was the boot of David's car. All the evidence add up to one thing. David killed Susanne at work and then collected her body later that day by car. On a so-called fake business trip, he must have got rid of her body. Investigators believe that he killed her because she wanted to end their relationship. What really shows how sick David really was that after he killed Susanne, he must have left her body behind the stairwell and then went to his computer at his work and spoke to colleagues like nothing ever happened. David Gilroy is now serving a life sentence for the murder of Susanne Pili. Number 2. In September 2007, Melanie Goodwin's burned body was found in Carrollton, Texas. It was determined that she died of blunt force trauma, but who killed her and why? Well, on the night she went missing, Melanie went to the shops to get her boyfriend some snacks. Snacks that her boyfriend now wishes he never asked her to get. Surveillance video shows Melanie going into the shops, where suddenly the police discovers something quite bizarre. On the CCTV they could see Melanie talking on the phone, totally unaware that there seems to be a man behind her, stalking her every movement. The man then leaves the shop just before Melanie. When she closes the door, it's chilling to see that he's there again. Her partner tried to contact Melanie over and over again when she never arrived to meet him. Unknown to the murderer, the scene of the crime actually has CCTV on for 24 hours a day. This is where the police saw the horrific moment when a man now known to be Ernesto Reyes pulled out the body of the woman and literally set her on fire and then chillingly just drove away. Her murderer was caught on CCTV, and now the police know what kind of car was used to dispose of the body of Melanie Goodwin. They know it's a male, and they know what kind of clothing the male was wearing. The same kind of clothing the man was wearing in the shop that seemed to be suspiciously stalking Melanie Goodwin. It turned out that the man in the shop asked Melanie for a ride, which she refused, before then following her after she left the shop. Ernesto fled America to Mexico, where he was caught and then charged for the murder of Melanie. The case still took a bizarre twist though, when Ernesto's best friend Donovan Young said that Ernesto showed him the body of Melanie in the boot of his car, but instead of Donovan phoning the police, he actually gave Ernesto the money for the gasoline to burn her body. Ernesto said it was Donovan that killed Melanie, but the surveillance video only shows Ernesto stalking Melanie, buying gasoline and then actually dragging her body before burning her. There's so much evidence, yet the jury is still not sure because there was a 90-minute gap between her disappearance and her being disposed, and they weren't sure if Ernesto killed her or if he was forced to buy gasoline and dispose of her body by his friend Donovan, because that's what he said happened. During court, neither Donovan nor Ernesto showed any guilt. The jury came to the decision that Ernesto Reyes killed Melanie and was sentenced to life in jail. Donovan Young was sentenced to 8 years for his help in disposing of her body by providing the cash for the gasoline. Number 3. These are the last pictures taken from CCTV of 17-year-old Hannah Foster. She was walking on her way back home with her friend Helen. During the night, not long after this footage was captured, she was snatched and forced into a van. She contacted the police using her mobile, but could not speak. This is where the police could hear a woman being asked questions by a man. She was then raped and murdered by Melinda Pal Singh Kohli. Her body was found in the bushes. This twisted man was then seen in the area not long after he dumped her body, living life as normal. Here's the footage of Kohli using his van as he carried on with his work. The only time he stopped was when he dumped Hannah's mobile phone and bag in this bottle bank. Then he returned to work, telling his boss they had to go home early because of his bad back. Kohli then returned to his native country, India, where he shaved off his beard and changed his identity. He thought he got away. He got extradited to the UK on July 28, 2007, and thanks to CCTV and phone records, the police were able to see that Hannah's last moments on her phone were on the M275 outside Portsmouth at the same time the van was captured on CCTV. Kohli confessed to the murder when his DNA was found on the body of Hannah. Number 4. This surveillance video shows the last moments of 18-year-old Hannah Graham. Hannah Graham left the restaurant in the early hours on September 13, 2014. Witnesses said that at the time she was heavily intoxicated and was with a 32-year-old man, Jesse Matthew Jr. She was heading towards a party, but texted her friends that she was lost. Friends said that Jesse had his arms around Hannah, where they told him that he didn't even know her. Surveillance videos really opened up the case for the police. This surveillance shows Hannah walking with a man believed to be Jesse Jr. Friends and witnesses said they felt worried for Hannah and told the man that Hannah doesn't even know you as he tried to persuade Hannah to get into his car. Hannah refused. A surveillance video then shows Hannah steadily walking on her own, heading towards a pub. Maybe she was seeing if one of her friends were there. The investigators don't know, but she didn't stay at the bar. Later that morning, she's seen running past the gas station, heading towards the downtown mall. She's looking behind as she's running, like she's in fear and maybe running from someone. She's then walking down the mall, where a surveillance video then shows Jesse Jr. walking on the foreground of downtown mall. For some reason, it's like Hannah's being followed. He's then walking behind her, and that's the last known images of Hannah Graham. Hannah's remains were found at an abandoned property in Virginia. Jesse Matthew Jr. pleaded guilty to the murder of Hannah. He was also found to be connected to the murder of Morgan Harrington, who he murdered in 2009. Jesse is now serving 4 separate life sentences. The scary thought is that there are other unsolved disappearances in the area that also could be later found to be connected to Jesse. Number 5. On 12th of February 1993, 10-year-olds Thompson and Venables didn't turn up to school. Instead, they were caught on CCTV casually observing children. On that day, 2-year-old James Bolger was with his mum, where she became distracted and then noticed that her son was missing. CCTV showed that Thompson and Venables lured the boy away from his mother, where they then tortured and killed the young boy. Now, this is a case that I can remember so clearly. There was huge media surrounding the case, and I was about the same age as Thompson and Venables. I suppose you could say that shock and horror in how someone so young could have such evil intentions. At no age should you have such evil thoughts, but at 10 years old, it's shocking. The boys were seen stealing some items, such as a troll doll, some batteries, and a can of blue paint. They wanted to abduct a child, lead him into a busy road, and then push the child into the traffic. The boys ended up taking James past the Liverpool and Leeds Canal, where they were seen pushing and poking fun at the young 2-year-old. Most of the bystanders casually walked past, but the boys were asked 2 times to stop it. They told the strangers that it was their younger brother. The boys then took James to a train station near the disused Walton and Anfield railway station, where they began to torture the young boy. The torture was so horrific, they then threw him onto the tracks. In total, their injuries were so horrific that they found the boy to have 42 injuries in total, and they couldn't find which one fatally killed him because each injury was enough to kill him. How can 10-year-olds be so evil? It still shocks me today when talking about the case. Thompson and Venables became the youngest convicted murderers of the 20th century. The boys were released on parole in 2001 at the age of only 20 years old. They were given new identity because of the backlash. Venables later returned to jail after child porn was found on his computer. After making this video, I just want to say my sympathies go out to all the families and friends of these victims. Luckily, CCTV in these cases gave justice to those who committed these vile crimes. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy mysterious videos such as this, and if you do, then please give it a like and subscribe.